What's good, guys? In this video we look at why we overthink and how we can stop driving ourselves crazy with all that overthinking. So let's go. Overthinking is one of those things that I'm pretty sure everybody does, and it's so random and it's so often that we most of the time I think not even aware of it. For example, it happens like that you're on YouTube, okay, and you're fine, and then you want to watch something, and all of a sudden your mind goes into overthinking things. What should I watch? Is it gonna be good? What if I don't like it? What if I don't have the time? What if I cannot finish it? What if it's bad? And then there you go. Your mind goes into a cascade of thoughts regarding a simple task, a simple things, and then it becomes a big thing for whatever reason. And it happens for maybe when you're ordering food. It happens when every time we need to make some form of decision. And it doesn't really matter what that decision might be. It's more the state that leads us into that indecisiveness, into that overthinkingness, and being stuck in that analysis mode, which really doesn't add up anything to our life. If anything, it takes away our energy, our mental power, and it doesn't get anything, so to speak, done, because the decision still remains to be made. So overthinking is one of those things that takes a lot of energy for us. Now, earlier today, something interesting happened. I'm on Facebook Marketplace and I want to buy something. So I noticed one of these items that I was looking for actually being shown to me at what seems to be a pretty decent price. So I sent a message to the seller, are you selling? I'm interested, blah, blah, blah. And then the person says, yes, I'm interested. And then the person says, yes, it's available, blah, 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 with that price. And then I stop. And at that moment, I notice that I start to imagine, well, it looks like a weird profile, right? What if it's a fake profile? What if this is actually one of those things where, like a scam or something, And my mind starts to go into that place. Whereas literally 20 seconds before, I was completely fine. But now that I have to make a decision regarding buying or not, or whether how tangible and real and true that art is, my mind goes into crazy imaginal act. And notice that this is not fact-based. It's just a matter of my own imagination creating a meaning that then puts me in that state of indecisiveness or overthinkingness, so to speak, which then fuels the thinking on and on and on and on again. And whenever we have that trigger, that moment, that usually that imaginal act that comes up in our thoughts, that then puts us in that state of, let's call that, say, the overthinking state, then the state just fuels on all the thoughts, all the other imaginal crazy act, and then it can go on, and it can be freaking huge. Some people overthink way too much, and it's actually to the point where it becomes very, very negative for their own life. So I think this example illustrates just two things. First is that there's a decision that needs to be made at the trigger point, right? And then there is that imaginal act. I'm imagining something. I'm creating a meaning of something. In this situation, I created the meaning of, oh, maybe it's dodgy, maybe it's not real, maybe I should be careful. And there's not really any fact, or I'm not doing anything around the fact to verify or prove myself whether I should pursue this or not. I'm only being absorbed in my own thoughts. So then how do we stop that state? Because if the state of overthinkingness is what fuels all that inner chatter that goes on and on and on and on and just keeps on growing, so to speak, we need to change either two things. Either we need to remove the trigger, or we need to interrupt whatever we are imagining. Because overthinking is really a process of overactive use of imagination. And often the case is that it's completely misplaced in reality. It's intangible, it's not factual, and it's often very far from what is actually happening around us. Now, we may not want to be doing, or maybe we're afraid of taking a decision, or maybe we don't want to deal with certain things, and so we can allow ourselves to escape making the decision through our imagination, right? So it can also be some form of secondary gain, so to speak. But the fact remains that if you want to stop overthinking, you cannot run away from the decision, because we already identified that in overthinking, usually we have a form of decision to make. We have a form of choice to reach. And one of the things to do really is to notice, what is that decision that I need to make? Well, it can be simple as, should I buy it or not? Do I want to buy it or not? Or what do I want to watch? Or what do I want to invest in? Do I want to do it or not? Things like that. But as long as we're running away from actually making decisions, we're always going to be overthinking, because then maybe we are afraid of making the wrong decisions. So it can fuel on into your insecurities. And then the second thing is really this. I need to stop overthinking by stopping my imagination. So you can notice in that examples I gave you that I'm making up that maybe his profile is fake, that maybe it's, one of those scams, that maybe, I should be careful, blah, blah, blah. So instead of actually taking steps and asking questions and inquiring and getting my mind sure, so to speak, with tangible proof, I am overthinking in my own imagination, and so it holds very little value, very little worth. So this is when we need to realize I am imagining what this means. It doesn't mean anything. And by simply becoming aware that, okay, this is nothing more than my imagination, now we're starting to put a gap between the meaning and us, the awareness. We're using that consciousness around what we're imagining and around the meaning and around the thought that we made up. And this gap, that awareness, that gap there, allows us to then go back into conscious control of what goes on in the narrative that we created in our own mind. And then you can choose to drop it. Because if you become aware that, okay, I'm imagining this, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that I don't know what to watch. It doesn't mean that I'm afraid to make the decision. It doesn't mean anything. Then you can simply drop it. And you can become grounded into, what do I need to do then? Or maybe, what do I want to do then? Because then when you become more grounded into the actual situation and into practically what you can do about it, it's easier to get the thing done and to become decisive, and then to kind of close that gap. So this is a two-step solution really, for at least that works for me when I find myself overthinking, is to really become clear with what's the decision that I need to make, and not become aware that I'm afraid of making a decision and just distracting myself with crazy thought that has very little value and doesn't help me make a decision that sooner or later I will need to make. So then we need to become aware in the second step of all that crazy mess that we imagine, the meaning we imagine that doesn't mean anything. And when we do that, we put some gap, some distance between the thought and between our consciousness, which then allow us to simply drop all that crap and become grounded again into, okay, what can I actually do about it? What is real? What is true, actually? And then go do it. Because the worst thing you can really do is to reach that space where you stop overthinking and not reach for a decision. Because your mind likes closure. And if you leave decision to be open, to be made another day, another time, another moment, if you are delaying and evading the difficulty sometimes of making decisions, you are inviting yourself in this pattern of never making decisions for yourself and always hanging into this indecisiveness state, which is not the greatest of the states, because we need, as human beings, to make decisions. And the faster we can make decisions, usually the better. And that doesn't mean that we always make the best decision, but that we can actually be decisive, that we can actually be directional, that we can actually be, good and face and make and take opportunities and do things and try and make mistakes and live life to the fullest simply because we allow ourselves to at least make the decision in the best way that we think is at that moment. So let me know what you think, guys. If you're overthinking, try those 2 steps, put some gap into your overthinking, notice what you're imagining, and then drop it and move into a practical approach. Let's go. Be well. As always, feel free to like, subscribe, and share. See you next time.